Yeah.
15?
Yeah, he played 15. Yeah.
Yeah.
Boy,
All right.
that's a long time to be
That's a
stealing.
long. What's up,
That's
everybody? This
commendable.
is Jimmy Hitchcock on the Hitch and Wall podcast. We got a special guest today, one of the greats from Carolina. Came in '94. I was leaving the next year, but I knew that this guy was going to be a phenomenal talent, and he turned out to be one of the best and had one of the longest NFL careers in the history of Carolina football in the NFL. All right, outside of Julius Peppers, I think it's very close. I don't know about the linemen, offensive linemen. I'm gonna try to do some research on that, but I'm pretty sure that Vonnie comes second to Julius Peppers. Great, great player. I think 11 sacks in your rookie year,
No, I wish 8.5. Eight and a
eight and a
half. Got
half.
banged up at the
But
end. Yeah.
but you did come like, didn't you? Wasn't you in the
One vote
running for
away.
rookie of the year?
One vote away from
One
Charles Wood.
one vote away
Yeah.
from rookie of the
Yeah.
year, right? Went
Yeah. Charles Woodson got me.
Charles Woodson got you that year, and was that Green Bay?
Hmm.
You went to
Kansas City.
Miami,
Went to
Kansas
Kansas
City.
City,
Yeah,
Miami, my first
Miami,
11 years.
first
And
11,
then,
right. And
yeah, and
then
then my last 3
Washington
years, I went
Redskins,
Denver, Washington.
Denver,
Washington traded me in my 13th season.
in
I'm like
13th
too old to
season.
be
I remember
traded.
that. I remember
Yeah,
that
my
like it was.
13th
I
season.
remember that. I was like, wow, Bonnie
Man,
still got it.
yeah, I'm at lunch, man. Shanahan calls me up and it's like, hey, man, what are you doing? I'm like, it's my day off. I'm chilling. I'm up there with a drink because I'm old. Training camp's gotten easy now. And he's like, look, we need a running back, and Arizona has a running back. And they're interested in you in the deal. And it was Hightower. I know Highsmith. It was
Oh, it was
Hightower.
yeah,
Hightower.
Hightower
Hightower.
was a good runner.
And so, yeah, and they wanted me to be a part of that trade. And I'm like, look, man, I'm 13. This year 13. I'm 35 years old. Like, I got a great setup up here.
Right.
You know, my family's back in Atlanta. It was an easy trip back and forth. I don't want to
Right.
go all the way across the country to
All the way
Arizona.
across the country.
So
Wow.
I'm like, you know, I might just retire. That's what I told him. Like, you know, I just retire. I didn't play long enough. I was trying to get me. Y'all already done pulled the wool over my eyes. Got me up here saying Donovan McNabb was going to be the answer, and we're going to go to the Super Bowl and get up there and play with Donovan. And I don't know what the hell Donovan was on him, but
Right here, yeah.
hey, Wall Hitch. I knew when he was one of the first people out the building, and he the new quarterback there. I was like, it's going to be a long season.
Long season.
Long
He didn't
season.
walk out.
You can't be the quarterback and one of the first people
You
out
gotta
the
be
building.
last, bro.
Right.
You
Yeah, you gotta be
last.
last out the building. Yeah,
You gotta
exactly.
be last.
That's
Yeah.
incredible. So
Yeah,
yeah,
and
so at the end it was the Skins and then Arizona, and you
Yeah.
retired
In Arizona, yeah. Yeah,
in
2013,
Arizona.
15 years, yeah.
15 total years. That's 8 more than that's 7 more than I played. That's crazy. Like, that's some good numbers, man. I'm talking about that's very, very, very impressive. How's your body from that though? How's your body? How your body hold up?
You know, the crazy part is I feel really good. You know, I still work out 3 to 4 times a week, and I think that's probably key. But, you know, I was fortunate enough when I was at Carolina for a guy named Mike Clark. You know, let's talk about the dog program, first of all. I mean, going through dog program certainly had me prepared to go to the NFL, but then learning how to take care of my body and invest in it at an early age was huge. And Mike Clark was in grad school there, and he went on and became a big time soft tissue body guy, training people like Tiger Woods. I mean, you name it, he's trained them.
Wow.
Or he's been a part of their staff in terms of keeping their body together. And so Mike used to come up to Green Bay and see me. I got up to Green Bay, and it was Bernardo Harris, and William Henderson. We were all up there together.
Two dogs.
William and Bernardo.
Yeah. And so the big bros took care of me, and we would fly Mike in, and I'd be on that table 12 o'clock at night, 2-3 hours as he's digging in and finding all the adhesions and the sore points and working them out. And so that carried me. So every city I played in, I found a soft tissue guy and worked with him. And I worked with Mike up until probably the end of my career. He was based out of here in Atlanta. Yeah, Mike blew up and got really big time, but yeah, I still stayed on his team and worked with people on his team and been in the gym with and when he's getting Tiger right, like to me, he's Carolina, but he's also just one of the pioneers of the body work, soft tissue, all the stuff you hear Tom Brady and those guys talk about now. Mike Clark was on the forefront of that.
Wow.
Sweet.
Yeah, impressive. Go ahead, Walt.
Well, welcome, man. Glad to have you on here, Chocolate Thunder. Hitch,
Hey,
that's what they called him in
That's
the
what they called him, right?
yard, boy.
that's
He
what
Listen.
that's what they.
crushing the women. Like
Yeah,
it's out there, the
listen.
women just
Oh,
No, man,
falling down
no, man.
as he
listen,
walked by. They just
walking
falling.
like a Greek god out there.
That's all
They
football.
just,
That's all
they
football.
just
Ain't got
all
nothing to do with
falling down. They falling
it.
down as he walked by. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for
Paying
sure.
homage to the Egyptian. Yeah, Greek Egyptian god.
Egyptian, yeah. You're right. There you go. So,
Right.
Vonnie, all right, we're gonna run our questions down. Uh, we have four basically that we ask everybody, and my main thing would be, who got you into football? Who got you started with football?
So football runs deep in my family. A lot of cousins, a lot of uncles. I had a cousin that played with Harry Carson at South Carolina State. Harry Carson's Hall of
Mm,
Fame
Harry
linebacker,
Carson.
New York
yes, a
Giants,
dog.
beast mode dog. And so he was the only professional player I knew at the time. And I wasn't a Giants fan; I was a Cowboys fan. But I always respected and admired Mr. Harry
Shame on you.
Carson. And when I
That
got to the
defense.
league, he was certainly my mentor and helped me
Mm,
traverse
That's what's up.
the life of a professional athlete. And then my other uncle played at Johnson C. Smith in Charlotte.
okay.
Oh,
And
okay.
so and then I had an older cousin that played at Winston-Salem State. But funny story, I was one of the bigger kids in my school, but my mom did not want me to play. Kept saying her baby was going to get hurt. I grew up in a house with 5 women. You got to understand. But I
Oh,
had,
okay.
yeah.
Okay.
And so, it was tough. It was tough. But I played baseball. That was my first sport. I thought I was going to go to college and play baseball, and actually got some small offers. And then I played basketball too. And so North Carolina State was the only school that offered me to play football and basketball. Not that my game was good enough to play either.
Right.
North Carolina State just wanted me to come there.
Right.
And I was actually about to go visit North Carolina State. They were the first to offer me, but they were the last on my, at that time, you can only take 5 visits.
Right.
They were my 5th visit. And then into my school walks a guy that we all know and love, Mac Brown, right? And just steals the show, changes my mind.
Right.
Deal
And
done.
change. I mean, he's a recruiter now. That's what
Yes,
he
sir.
is good at what he does.
Yes,
And
sir.
so he came into my school, and I remember I was about to go to a basketball game, and I called up North Carolina State and said, "Hey, I'm not coming." And they're like, "Why?" I'm like, "Well, to be honest, I'm going to visit the University of North Carolina instead." Oh my God!
Did they cuss
By
you
the-
out?
by the end of my basketball game, there was a coach from North Carolina State in Camden, South Carolina, to have a conversation.
They rode right there.
Yeah,
They jumped on the
They jumped
plane.
in the
Listen.
car.
hey, yeah.
Listen, Hitch.
Yeah.
They jumped on the helicopter. Something. I promise. They was there.
Yes, sir. They got on
But
that helicopter quick.
Yeah. But I was like, look, man, I've already made up my mind. I'm impressed with this Mac Brown guy. I need to go up here and see what he's talking about. I liked everything about it. And
Right.
the crazy part is, for me, Penn State was kind of always that school that everyone thought I was going to go to.
Okay.
Because my freshman year, Bobby Ingram, All-American wide receiver who played in the NFL for a number of years and now coaching for Washington.
Right.
But he was recruited and went to Penn State, and Joe Pa and all the guys came down. And at that time, Jerry Sandusky, Bill, all the whole crew.
That was ready to be my next statement.
Yeah. So, for the next 3 years, I spent a lot of times going back and forth to watch Bobby play and hanging out in Happy Valley. And so people kind of thought it was a sure-in that I was going to go to Penn State. And it really came down to the morning of, and Mac Brown still tells this story when he's talking about what's that, signing day and his most interesting recruit, because it really came down. My mom didn't even know. I left the house that morning like, Mom, I really don't know.
Wow.
And so I flipped a coin between North Carolina and Penn State, knowing that, and God works, in mysterious ways, because knowing that Penn State was going to be a tough commute for my family. We didn't have any money. And, it was important for my family to see me play because we're a close-knit group. And so, I think divine intervention, flipped that coin, ended up at North Carolina. And when I decided to go there, everybody's, of course, like, North Carolina football, Penn State football. What are you doing? North Carolina's a basketball school.
Right.
I'm like, look, man, I got a chance to go up there. Yeah. I'm like, I got a chance to go up there, and I like what they got going. I think that they're building something, and I want to be a part of it. And so it was tough. And like I said, fate, but I ended up at North Carolina, and then the rest is history. I never thought that I'd have the kind of career collegiately I had there. Certainly didn't think I'd go to the NFL. For me, it was a means to an end, and I needed an education. And the only way for me to get it, coming from where I came from, was through sports. And so I used it. And so I came to Carolina very focused on a mission. I was going to compete. I've always been competitive. I don't mind working hard, especially, like I said, when you come from where I'm coming from, work don't mean nothing to me, right? Let's get it.
Get it in, get it from the mud, get it in the dirt.
Let's get it. And so came in and just worked hard and was surrounded by just dogs, man. Dogs, like, forget about Mad Dog, Shep Dog, and Bulldog. I mean, but just the guys in that locker room, the guys that I worked out with, the guys that I competed with on the field. When I think about Riddick, God bless the dead, I think about Greg Black and Marcus Jones and Oscar Sturgis, and I mean, all these guys had played. They were in camps. They played in the league. I mean,
they all
with
played in the league,
Rick Terry, Andre Purvis, Greg Ellis, Ebony Zakubon, Russell Davis, Mike Pringley. I mean, the list goes on. These are all guys that played in the league.
We
played in the league.
Yeah, crushers, man. Back then.
And so every day it was a competition, and you were pushed because you weren't going to see the field otherwise. And then have an opportunity to be coached by the great Kenny Browning. Forget about it, man. It's just all came together once I got to Carolina. And, next thing you know, I mean, I'm sitting here on this podcast with you, and after 15 years playing in the National Football League, just blessed and so fortunate, right? And don't take any of it for granted. But it's all based off of hard work, stuff that I learned back in Camden, South Carolina, growing up in that house with those 5 women and my uncles and my aunt. They instilled that in me. And then it was coaches like Mad Dog that continued to nurture that kind of behavior, right? That work ethic. And never being afraid, right? And also being a man of integrity, right? Like you got to be, you got to stand on it, right? When I come up in there, like I know what I'm there for, right? Exactly. And I know what you're gonna get. Right. I mean, in your locker room, I'm in your locker room. I'm gonna be a guy who's committed to the cause.
Give it 100%.
Yeah, and that's
ain't gonna be out doing nothing dumb. Ain't gonna be doing those stupid things that cost the team or put a bad light on the team.
The team, you see that name up there, that last name. I couldn't do nothing to cost that team. That's the first team right there. Right. Those 5 women that I was like, I vowed, like I'm gonna take it. I got y'all. I don't know what I didn't know it was gonna be football. I thought I was gonna go off and get a good education, get a job. But that was that team first, and then all the other teams after that.
Awesome.
So we had Penn State, we had Carolina,
NC State,
the boys in Raleigh, and then give me 2 more that you were thinking about.
Well, I had to come down at that time to Hot Atlanta and just see what Georgia Tech was talking about. Because at the time I was thinking about being an engineer, but I'm like, it's Hot Atlanta. I've been hearing all these things. My boys telling me about Freaknik, all this stuff. Let me go down here and see what they doing. Big city, you know what I'm saying? So I had to come down to Georgia Tech.
Right.
And on my official visit, actually Dorsey Levens was my host, who was my
teammate. Dorsey, huh?
Was my teammate in Green Bay. And now really, really good friend. We've been friends for years. He and Ryan Stewart, who's from South Carolina and also played in the league for a number of years. And then locally I had to, you got to give the two in-state teams some love. So I went to South Carolina and Clemson. But South Carolina, I grew up 30 minutes from South Carolina. So I didn't want to go there. I need to get away. I need to grow and mature some. And so that was kind of the deal there.
Okay. Well, good, man. I like that.
Yeah, that's dope. You played on one of our most successful Carolina football teams, that 11-1 team, or 12-1 total, right? 12-1 total. Tell me about, because when I look at those old YouTube videos and then I go through those lineups, that lineup was a crusher on defense. I'm talking about Greg Ellis.
The second team was ridiculous.
The second team was crazy. I'm talking about that.
Hell, I was almost on the second team. I was almost on the second.
I'm talking about a crusher. What are your memories about that team and that defense and how y'all played and how Coach Torbush coached you?
The crazy thing is when I think about that defense, and I remember that year, like, I was just really happy to be a part of it. Right. I was so proud that I could line up and be a starter on that defense. Right. Because at the time, I didn't feel like I was getting the accolades. Like I wasn't the All-American like Greg Ellis was and Brian Simmons and Kaba Yusuma, K Mays, like Omar Brown, like those Dre Bly, Quickie on the corner. I mean, that defense was loaded.
Loaded.
Russell Davis was coming into his own. Mike Pringley was coming into his own. And all those guys, every guy on that B defense, including Marcus Dow with those feet coming out of Thomasville, Slewfoot, dog in the middle, coming out of Thomasville, North Carolina.
Downhill, though.
Right? I mean, it was just incredible to go through that season. And once I said, iron sharpens iron, right?
Right.
The year before, playing with Andre Purvis and Rick Terry, and then having, playing with Big Sturgis and playing with Marcus Jones. Every year, just kind of building Riddick, right? Every year, just building. Hell, Hobgood Chittick, who didn't start.
Yeah, that was my
playing
dog.
the league. He didn't start.
Nate.
Playing the league.
God bless his soul.
Chittick, God bless his soul, right?
God bless his soul.
Andre Purvis didn't start. Played in the league.
Hey, bro. So my junior year, I'm watching the draft. And Purr pushed me every day. I ain't gonna lie. I would say that. Like he got under my skin sometime. I got under his skin sometime. But he pushed me every day. He was gonna talk. He was gonna talk because he wanted to be on the field. I wanted to be on the field.
Ain't no doubt.
And so you can't get my snaps, big dog. But I remember the draft that year. Andre got picked up by Cincinnati. I think the first pick of the third round.
Right.
Something like that. And Rick Terry was the first pick of the second round.
Yeah.
So I started looking. I'm like, wait a minute. Hey,
your
boy really got a chance. It ain't just smoke. Agents and stuff come around talking. But now I'm like, I might have a chance at this thing. Hold on, let me get right. You know what I'm saying? And so, that was an incredible defense to be a part of. Just some big personalities, but guys that came to work every day and put that, strapped on that dilly-dally and got it done and took pride in it. You know what I'm saying? Took pride in going out there and punishing people, right? And getting it done.
Crazy.
Now, our offense wasn't great. Our offense, we only had Jeff Saturday. He was the only guy on that offense that I remember that took it to the next level. Oscar Davenport was athletic and a good
I loved it.
running for his life, right? But OD
awesome.
And then Chris Keldo came in, but we didn't have a tremendous talent after the Walls and I think Octavius Barnes was in there, but I don't know if Octavius got hurt. I think he tore his ACL. I think Octavius got hurt.
I think the year before,
and then he came back.
Right.
And he came back.
Yeah.
He tore it.
And then Algie Crumpler was a young guy. My senior year.
Stevens.
Yeah, LC Stevens. Running backs with Jonathan Linton actually went on and played for a little while. Big Linton, big running back. And Leon Johnson the year before, but 2 years before. He was one of you guys' year? No, he was 92.
Yeah. No, he was there year before too.
Yeah, but because he redshirted, right?
That's right. That's right. But man, just dogs, man. And Carl Torbush, once again, Carl knew he had something. Right. And that staff, he and Coach Donnie Thompson, I mean, the memories, right? The good days, just being in those meeting rooms and on the field, listening to Coach Donnie Thompson talk, and then that old, I don't even know what kind of lingo that is, but
he made up his own.
His own. His own. But just I mean, thinking back, and I tell people all the time, like I know that because we're the University of North Carolina, we don't get the respect, but I would put that defense up against
anybody.
And true football aficionados will bring that defense up every time.
Every time
when they talk about the best defenses that ever played, like, hey, you got to consider this group because
Drake had like 12 picks or something.
He led the nation.
14, I think it was 14.
Yeah, 14.
Yeah, he led the nation.
He led the nation.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? As a freshman, redshirt freshman. And you got Quickie on the other side, and they press man the entire time. Like,
and I ain't even talk about Greg Williams. I ain't talking about Greg Williams.
Yeah,
G-Dub.
Yeah,
G-Dub out there doing this thing.
That was one of the. I mean, in our class. We had a crusher too. Not anything like that because we didn't have that. Like Coach Torbush decided that he was going to be aggressive once I left. I don't know why, but once we left, he said, we're going to play man to man. We're going to be in their face. You see what I'm saying? That was the best move that he can make because you guys were in the quarterback space immediately. You You know what I'm saying?
It was a race.
Overall, that defense to me is up there with the great Miami defense. You know, but people won't see it that way because it's Carolina. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's Carolina football.
But here's the thing about that though, Hitch. When you think about it, that's when Coach Brown started to transition to more athletic big men.
Right.
Versus just the big body. You know, we went from that at that time the Big Ten style offense and defense alignment to when Florida State came into the league. Shoot, they had linebackers that played D line. So then we end up, you know, transitioning to be able to go, hey, let's get faster.
Right.
And so, you know, that's a great assessment though, because you think about it, you Vonnie, Greg, Eb, daggone Big Perv. No, I'm just going D line.
Just straight D line.
Russell Davis.
Straight D line.
Rush D.
Oh, Rush
Ebenezer
D.
Ekubon switched over.
Listen, it was crazy, dog. Listen, like that is crazy. Oscar Sturgis switched over. Like, man, athletic big men.
Unreal, man. It was an unreal defensive squad that you can never like talk about it enough. To me, you know, that team should have had so many more accolades and should have played in a bigger bowl game. You know.
Yes. No doubt about it. That's why we had to go punish. That's why we had to go punish Virginia Tech.
Y'all punished them. Dre had like 2 picks that game or something crazy. I mean, that team was phenomenal, man. And I always think about that team, and I just like I said, I put them up there with. I mean, they had Ed Reed and they had Ray Lewis back in the day, you know, on that team. But from that, the rest of the team, the rest of our squad versus the rest of their squad. But we had Greg Ellis too, and you. You know what I'm saying? So you really can put that defense up against any defense of all time, any in college football history. But I just wanted to talk about that.
Hey, before we leave, so I get recruited. I'm being recruited as an outside linebacker, right? So you can't,
I can see it.
I feel like, you know, I'm coming into North Carolina. I see B Sims and K Mays. Like I said, K Mays was my host because I was an outside linebacker. I remember sitting down talking to B Sims, and you know how B Sims is. You know, he's real. You know, he thinks he know everything about football when it comes to it. He's a GM. He should be a GM somewhere.
He really should.
So he look at me and he say, "Yeah, big dog. Yeah, you gonna have your hand in the dirt."
No, he did.
Yeah. He's like, yeah, I know what you're thinking, but you ain't gotta worry about it.
That was a good one.
You gonna have your hand in the dirt. I was
he already
insulted.
placed you somewhere.
Yeah, I was insulted. Like, what? I'm an athlete, man. I'm a dog at linebacker. What you talking about?
Yeah, look,
never forget
he's
that.
saying,
awesome,
he's
man.
bigger than me. He fast too. Oh yeah, dog. You put your hand.
You ain't gonna
down
be my
for sure.
competition. You're gonna be the dirt.
Yeah, them shoulders. Yeah, you gonna grow into that. You gonna be grow into that head. That's what you gonna grow into that head. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
this is hilarious, man.
But that just goes to show you the continuity of the locker room, man. It just the teams that we were a part of, like just that brotherhood is just, it's hard to find other places. I listen to guys all the time talk about it. Just them not having what we have. Whenever I, talk about different situations and things such as that nature, they might have one friend or two on their team that, they can chop it up with for real. But for the most part, we have everybody.
Right.
I
agree.
The last, there's a couple more things I want to ask, but what's your fondest memory, funny or whatever, at UNC? Give us either a funny story or just your fondest memory, things that you think about the most when you think about Carolina.
Man, it's so many. When I think about my playing experience, right? Like, and I played in the league for a long time, but it still go back to Carolina and the training table and Jerry and those menus when we would win and we eat steak and lobster.
Yeah,
Coach Johnny talks about, I eat your lobster. You ain't gonna eat your lobster, right?
Give me that lobster.
Yeah. And I think about, Hell, my first, second day there, right? Going out on that turf and dog talking about a damn survival run.
Right.
What's
Bruh,
this?
like I said, I felt like I was in good shape. You know what I mean? I come
Right.
up in there, I almost died. I'm like, I called my mom up. I called my mom up. I'm like, hey, I don't know if this for me. I don't know if I'm. She was like, look, you better figure it out because you can't come home. She told me, you better figure it out.
Yes,
Yes.
sir. Yes, sir.
Man, but between that and the rumbles in the locker room and hey, Hitch, Wall took. So we used to have the rumbles, class rumbles.
Right. Yeah.
So we got study hall. We come back from study hall. They done try to ambush us.
Oh, yeah.
I think we saw Walden by themselves. Like it was like Wall and it's just a few of them. So we're like, let's get them. So somehow I ended up grabbing Wall. So I got him bear hugged on the little parking, the little poles in the parking lot, little rail. So I'm bear hugging.
You got him on the pole?
Yeah, on the pole, bear hugging. I'm talking about bones cracking. This dude bit me.
Survival mode.
No, he did.
Hey,
He bit you up there. Oh, yeah.
His teeth print in my forehead for weeks.
How did he bite your head, dog? He bit your forehead.
Hey, he was surviving. He like, I got to get up out of this.
Look, I'm like this right here against the pole. It's survival mode. No way. We're not going with that.
Man. Maurice stabbed me in the back with a pencil. He ended up in my back with a pencil, get me up off of him.
Y'all just took the survival thing to the whole next level. Right?
Oh,
Class
listen, it was
serious.
different, boy. You listen,
yeah.
boys gang up on you in a minute, catch you off guard. You stuck.
That's hilarious, man. I didn't know it was y'all was surviving for real.
Yeah, it was serious.
Oh yeah,
it was serious.
Y'all took it to the next level. I didn't know that, man.
It was serious.
Oh my goodness. And the last thing is NIL. What's your thoughts about it? And this is the only thing that I'll say that how we're talking about these stories and things like that is they won't have them. You see what I'm saying? Because they're going to be going from place to place and they'll not develop any real relationships and any foundational relationships or friendships, and that's the only thing that I say about NIL. Okay, you getting that bread, but we got like group chats for days, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And guys back other guys and try to pick them up and things like that. So I think that is something that they don't miss. But what do you think about it?
I think the NIL and the profit sharing is long overdue. I mean, you think about the college athlete and think about what we poured into that program and the money that was made as a result of it. Right. And we couldn't even sign a jersey and get compensated for it.
Right.
I think that the idea in itself is warranted and it's great. I do. Right. I think that it's what needed to happen. But unfortunately, due to pressure, I'm not sure what it was, or maybe they did it on purpose because they wanted to see it fail. The way they rolled it out was it's unexplainable, right?
Right.
I mean, there should have been rules and regulation. There should have been some study done. Like companies go in all the time and hire teams of people to come in and like, how do we implement this in a way that makes it make sense?
Correct.
Yeah, get some consultants.
Yeah. And they didn't do any of that, right? And I firmly believe they did it because they wanted to see it fail, right? They wanted to just go ape shit. Excuse my language.
I agree with that.
And so that they say, oh, we tried it and it failed. This is not good. This is not good for college, amateur athletes.
Right.
But unfortunately, once you release that hounds, once that snowball gets going,
it's
unstoppable. You can't do anything about it. And so I think now they're coming in and they're trying to do some things. I think it needs to be regulated. I think that unfortunately, like you said, they'll never get to experience what we experience.
Right.
And the games, life's always changing. The game's always changing. The way I grew up is not the way my kids grew up, and we didn't grow up with social media and all these things. And so you have to evolve and with the times, adjust. Right. Mm-hmm. I think that they have to do something. This transfer portal is disastrous for young people. You talk about, you hear the success stories, but there's hundreds, maybe thousands of kids that just get caught in a portal and get lost.
And they get lost in the portal and you never hear from them again.
You never hear from them again.
Yeah.
Never hear from them again. It's affecting high school. I'm down here coaching in Atlanta and Georgia. We got good football down here. We got kids. I'll talk to them after a game or talk to their parents and say, hey, who's he talking to? And they're not getting scholarships because
Nobody's talking to them.
Nobody's talking to them. They want to go
give
get the
people out
older
the portal.
kid.
Yeah,
they
they
want
want the
the
older
portal.
kids.
Yeah, they want the older kids, and so now it limits high school athletes having an opportunity to go right in and get scholarships. And then even, I think before it was kind of unheard of. Like guys would get to a school and it may work out, but at least you knew you were going to get education. Like they'll promise you that. A coach comes into your home, like, hey, regardless of whatever happens, your kid's going to get a great education. He's going to graduate from the University of North Carolina. He's going to go on and be successful in the world. Now they don't even make those promises anymore because they want to. I mean, it's becoming like free agency is becoming like the NFL is becoming a more pro style model, and these kids are going to have to adjust. And I think it's going to come down to signing contracts. It's going to be, hey, you got a 2-year deal.
Real contract.
You got a 1-year deal. We're going to give you a 2-year deal.
Yeah. Real contracts, real situations where agent is right there. And then they need a salary cap. They need a cap.
Yeah. What Ohio State and those teams, those big schools.
Yeah, they need a cap. I mean, I don't want to cap off the guys, but I'm just saying, like, it's the Wild Wild West right now.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? You can give a guy $20 million in a NIL and another guy $20,000. You understand what I'm saying? So how is that relationship between those guys in the locker room?
We ain't cool.
Y'all ain't cool.
We ain't cool.
I'm doing the same work over here. We got to go to the weight room together. We got to do that survival run together.
We ain't cool.
Bro, it's
I'm feeling some kind of way.
Yeah, I'm feeling some type of way. Dude, when I was in the pros, you got guys hating on you because you're making such and such. Yeah. And you talking about 18-year-olds? You know what I'm saying? They feeling some type of way, bro.
Right. And you got to remember now, like you said, we're doing the same thing. And I'm probably doing more than
I might be doing better than you too.
You just had what they call more stars than me. Right. You came here and then your reps ain't adding up.
Right. And
we not cool, dog. We ain't even friends.
And you driving a Lamborghini truck?
Yeah.
Right.
A Bentley, a Rolls?
Exactly.
And I'm driving this Corolla.
How we gonna be cool? You can't be cool.
It's just not gonna happen.
Yeah. And I see some of the big time guys like Shador and those guys taking care of the other guys, but it creates a division in the locker room. It does.
Has to.
It does.
Sure.
And I know that I think this year is the year that they went to because they're profit sharing. So I think every guy on scholarship immediately up front gets like $85,000 basically when they show up at school. You're going to get that 85, and then what's on top of that, which is what's ridiculous. And these quarterbacks who, if you transfer and you're a starter somewhere and you have anything about you, $4 million, like the guy that just went from Tulane to Duke,
right?
$4 million a year, guaranteed for 2 years.
2 years,
almost with 8 years guaranteed. With 2, he can make another additional 2. Now I think he got a house to live in and one for his parents and some cars and all that stuff. Like,
right, he can get married, have children, and be able to support them, and hire a butler, a maid, and he can do whatever he want to do, dog.
Already
college. But what Omar said, which was great last podcast, is he said, "Bro, think about it. They got no expenses. They don't have any expenses.
None.
They can go in the locker. They go from the locker room to their bedroom or to their dorm room, and they have nothing to pay for. They got free meals, and they just paying for stuff because they want to."
Yeah. Old boy down in Miami who's gotten 2 cars stolen already. The quarterback.
Cam Ward.
No. For the University of Miami that left. He's a good quarterback. Left Georgia. He left University of Georgia. Now he's down there starting quarterback for Miami, and I think he's had a Lamborghini truck stolen and a Benz, like some type of Maybach or something stolen.
Lord have mercy.
They balling out of control.
That's crazy. That is
crazy. Lost his girlfriend already. He already done cheated on his girl. Got caught up down there in that Miami life.
He living that Miami life already.
It's a tough place to be, I'm sure, as a young man with a Lamborghini truck.
Hey. And so Hitch mentioned earlier, like of all the places your favorite places to play. Thank God I got to Miami when I was older, more mature, and had learned how to be a professional and grown up some. Because I can't imagine.
That's why they can't play down there. That's why they ain't never good.
Hey man, my first month there, every day the young boys They were
Hitting the
out
club
at strip club every day
every day.
Right.
after work. I'm like,
Wow.
what is going on at the strip club that y'all there every day?
Dude,
And I went
like
to the strip club.
getting
And I was
fed
like,
in there.
okay.
I have a boy used
No,
to do.
it was the wing dinners they had
Yeah,
and the
no.
steak plates. Yeah,
Bro,
Yeah,
that's what they
yeah,
used to
yeah.
do up there
sometimes they
in New
had shrimp
England.
and lobsters.
Oh yeah, all that in there.
Yeah,
All
they
that.
got that shrimp,
Yeah.
and they have it laid out. Hey, this is a great story, but Tito, forgive me for telling this one. But Tito Whoop used to play for the Giants, and Tito used to visit the club so much they had his jersey in a box. They had him in a shadow box. They had his jersey in a shadow box, bro. They loved him. Hey, he's in New York, boy. They had his jersey shadow box, bro.
Yeah.
That NFL life is real.
It's
is
real, bro. It's real.
It can eat you up if you're not careful. It can be all the things that you've read about, heard about,
Right.
and you won't be there for long, right?
No
Most
doubt.
guys.
Oh, that's
but
what it's called.
yeah,
Not for long. Yeah,
Not for long.
not
You
for
get
long.
caught up in that. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Vonnie, all right, real quick. We know we got Belichick in the building. What are your thoughts on it? What is your projections? Let's just say that on what you think the season will be and how it's going so far.
That's the tough part. The hire I thought was initially I thought it was an interesting hire, right?
Right.
But the more I started to think about it, I'm like, why not? Here's a guy who's proven, he's a legend.
Right.
He's going to get eyes on the program.
Absolutely.
He knows how to win. He knows football. Hell, I was about to be a Patriot because of him, right? I sat down in his office and talked to him for almost 2 hours. And when we left that meeting, I called home and told him, hey, we're about to be Patriots. And it was because of Bill Belichick.
Right.
But unfortunately, at the time, they wanted me to put a waiver on my knee, and I couldn't do that. I just couldn't do that.
Yeah,
but
I had to do it too.
Bill Belichick knows football. He knows the business of football. Now, does that translate to the collegiate level? We're going to see. I think he is older, and I think he's smart enough to know to put people around him. I'm hoping that can relate to these young kids and can coach them up and get them to run through a brick wall for him. But just look at just off of the Belichick effect, the caliber of players that we've gotten that have changed their mind and then switched over to come there to be a part of this experience. And so I love it for Carolina. I love it. I'm over here. I'm a fan. I'm rooting for him. I hope it all works out, and I hope that he gets everything he can out of these guys, and that we utilize or we take full advantage of Bill Belichick and the Bill Belichick effect, and get all the great players in there, the good coaches, all the money, whatever it is, so we can build a program that we can be proud of, because it's been tough as a Tar Heel fan and someone who bleeds Carolina blue over the last several years, where we're knocking on the door of greatness and ranked 10. And now we're playing Georgia, the first game of the season. Like, when you start doing stuff like that, man, we expect you to put a better product on the field. We just haven't, we haven't done that. And so I'm looking forward to, and I am very optimistic about where this program is and where it's going and the capabilities and what we can do. And so I'm excited. I'm excited. I'm glad that I think Bill also, he gets it. He understands. And for what I understand, and I've been a little busy, a little crazy start to my 25, but he's encouraging guys to get back and be around the program. And that's important. I think we lost a little bit of that. Yeah. And we lost a little bit of that, but I think Bill understands it. And I think he has I'm hoping, I can't wait to sit down and get a chance to talk to him. But I've already seen it in practice. In fact, we talked about those group texts that we have. Someone just said today, like, hey, they showed a map of the field and the practice and where the alumni guys are going to be on the field. Right. I've gone back as a former player, and I played 15 years in the damn National Football League, and I'm sitting in the stands watching people on the field like, who the hell is that? Right. But I'm not gonna go out on the field without my boys. Like, if we can't all go, I don't want to go by myself, right?
Exactly.
And so, I'm really encouraged and just happy and excited about Carolina football and what we have before us. And I think that I don't know if it's going to take a year or two. I'm not sure what it's going to take, but I think that we're headed in the right direction. I like Bill at the helm.
I tell you what, now They had Lil Wayne in the building the other day.
Yeah, they had Tunchi up in
I
there.
saw that. I saw that. Got him a jersey and everything.
Just straight to Bill. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
like, that's what's
So
up.
I
mean,
thought that
damn,
was unique. We ain't
That's
never
that-
seen none of that.
never seen
That's
nothing
that Colorado effect right there. That's what
Yeah,
it is.
you best
right?
believe it. You
DR,
best believe
DR.
it.
Same thing,
Figure it
man.
out. Know what the kids looking for. Make it happen.
Make it happen. That's
Hey,
what's
don't
up,
hurt-
man.
It don't hurt that he got that young Tendo over there too, so you know he know how to relate to the
Right,
youngins.
right.
I was leaving that
whispering in
alone
his ear.
because I was
He
gonna
whispered
say
in his
he
ear.
knows how to handle the youth as
Bring
well.
Wayne.
So he's all
Bring
right.
Wayne. Bring Wayne to the
Oh man,
Exactly.
Get Drake next time. Get Drake.
No, don't get Drake because
No,
Kendrick
no.
Lamar
No,
tear
yeah,
Carolina to
Yeah,
pieces.
pieces
Go
to
get
pieces. We don't want that smoke. We don't want that smoke.
Yeah, that's yeah, that's what's up, man.
Ah.
Man, that was probably one of the best podcasts ever. You know, this Vonnie Holiday, one of the greats of Carolina, one of the greats in NFL.
Yeah.
What
I don't know
do
about it.
you think about Hall of Fame, man? What?
Man, you know what, man? I looked at my numbers, and I mean, I looking back, like I really felt like I had a steady Eddie stellar career. I mean, what I'm saying, like I
Right.
was, to me, never too high, but never too low. I was always
Right.
right there, and it's kind of who I am as a person, the way I choose to play the game. Right? You know, I'm not one that's going to go out and take a whole lot of chance and risk,
Right.
at risk of compromising the team. And there's
Right.
guys who have to kind of stay in there and fight the good fight. Right? Hold the point.
Yep. Hold the point.
That was my mentality. I was going to hold
Right.
the point. Right. If it's a chance for me to free you up to get a sack, I'm gonna free you up unselfishly. Right.
Right.
But when it's time for me to try to make a play, I'm gonna try to make a play within the confines of the defense and what I'm supposed to do. And I know a lot of guys who was just about their numbers. And if that meant flying up the field on first down and hopefully, guessing and getting a sack, that was fine. But that was never me. Like I said, we talk about integrity, we talk about accountability. That was very, very important to me. And so I was going to do my job and do it, to the best of my ability within the confines of the defense and what's expected of me. Sometimes, when I look at what this money these boys getting, right? They just turn it loose because sacks matter. They do.
Yes,
but,
sir.
When I talk to my old teammates and my peers, and I hear the things that they say and the appreciation they have for me as a player and the respect, that's what it's all about.
That's what it's
no
all
matter
about.
No amount of money in the bank account don't change that. If you a sucker,
That's it.
you a sucker.
You're a sucker regardless.
With
Whether you
millions. Where you got
100 million, $100 million, or $100.
Yeah.
You a sucker.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what's up.
That was a good audition right there and good interview. Now we accept you into the Hall of Fame. Let's get it done.
Oh yeah, we putting. Hey, he should be in the Carolina Hall of Fame. If anything,
Yeah, we might as well get that one too.
Yeah,
let's go get it.
I mean, if anything, you know what I'm saying. So anyway, man, but great interview, great podcast. I will appreciate you coming, Vonnie Holiday.
Definitely.
And we wish you all the best, and we wish on this Carolina experience and this Carolina thing with Belichick that we do big things, do great things.
Yeah.
All right.
Hope to see you guys at a game up there soon, guys.
No doubt.
Appreciate
Hitch and Wall
you.
podcast. We out of here. Like,
share, baby.
Share, and subscribe.
It's Deuce all day.
9 quad, baby. Hit squad.
Drop a posse, baby. Drop a posse. All right, y'all. Appreciate you.
Right.
Hey, just 1 minute, Vonnie. Just hold tight for 1 second. Until you upload all the way your sound upload. It'll take about a minute and a half.
Okay.